because the light is beautiful. After the surgery, they put you on chemotherapy, and after that, they put you on radiation. And after that, they tell you you're under surveillance. Now, I haven't been under surveillance since the 60s, and back then it wasn't for medical reasons.
It was our last consult here.
This surveillance means getting a CT scan every 3 months or so to make sure the cancer isn't coming back. And lucky for me, my first 3 scans were clean. I was thrilled when 2 of my doctors described my scan images as pristine. All that ended with the 4th scan, which was not pristine. I got a tip-off when I got some blood work back. You have to do the blood work before you take the scan, and one of the tests is for a cancer marker, and those numbers went off the charts. Here's what a graph looks like. I turned to Susan and said, "This is it. The cancer's back." I called my oncologist, and he gave me the good news that no, the scan was clean, and the bad numbers could be due to some other factors. However, when I got a second opinion from my doctors at Johns Hopkins, they said no, the scan was not clean. The tumor was back. 3 good scans, bad blood work, good 4th scan report, bad 4th scan report. Felt like whiplash. So I'm starting a new round of chemotherapy, and if that works and they shrink the tumor, maybe some more radiation, maybe even some more surgery. They don't know. We'll see. Let me tell you about my Uncle George. George Piercy was born 100 years and 4 days ago on April 22nd, 1915 in St. Louis, Missouri. His parents named him George Washington Piercy, and you may assume that they named him after the father of our country until I tell you that his grandfather, my great-grandfather's name, was also George Washington Piercy, and that George Washington Piercy founded Thornfield, Missouri, down in the heart of the Ozarks, and was its postmaster. My Uncle George went to Washington University in St. Louis, and then to the law school there. And when he graduated, he had been an ROTC, so he went straight into the Army and was assigned to the Philippines in the late 1930s. When war broke out after Japan attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, there were a lot of U.S. servicemen stranded on the Philippines, and on May 6, 1942, the Japanese took the Philippines, and my Uncle George was captured and put in a prison camp. He spent 17 months in 2 separate prison camps in the Philippines, And in October of 1944, the Japanese were fearful that Douglas MacArthur was going to make good on his promise to make it back to the Philippines and retake the islands for the United States and the Philippine people. So they started shipping able-bodied prisoners back to Japan for forced labor. They put these guys on transport ships, and unfortunately, they did not mark the transport ships as prisoner of war ships. So my uncle was on the Harrison Maru in the South Pacific when on October 24th, 1944, one of our own submarines, the Shark, sank his unmarked ship. Only 4 or 5 American prisoners survived the sinking of the transport Harrison Maru, and my Uncle George was not among them. His body lies at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, was never recovered. So all my grandparents had left of their young son is in this box. This box contains the usual sort of correspondence between a young man and his parents when he's off in a new country. You know, the usual kind of things about what it's like to be in the Army, being exposed to a new culture in a new country for the first time. There's nothing particularly unusual about that. But what is unusual, indeed extraordinary, are these documents. While he was a prisoner, my Uncle George scrounged little bits of paper from around the camp, often backs of soup cans, or here in this case, a mackerel can label, probably what the prisoners were being served as food. And on the back of them, he wrote down in meticulously small handwriting detailed descriptions of the conditions under which he and his fellow prisoners were kept. When he was about to be shipped back to Japan, he gave half of those documents to one of his buddies and half to another, and told them each, if they made it back to the United States, to please deliver them to his parents. Only one of those 2 men made it back, but they got to his parents and gave them all these documents, and that's what we have of our Uncle George. I'd like to show you a couple of them. I've just come back from the hospital. It's a depressing place. The whole area is so contaminated that it smells, and the smell of death is everywhere. You now need a special pass to get into the dysentery ward. There are human skeletons and people you know are going to die, and others, they have that I give up look. Look at how small and detailed the writing is. Evidence of how precious were the elements he used to keep these notes. Scraps of paper, pieces of pencil. Somewhere in here there's a list of the men. Here it is. Enlisted men of 2nd Observation Squadron. Selznick missing, Stewart missing, Talbot. Downs R. died 6/20/42. Hamill I. died. Deebs V. from Australia. Arneas missing. Oh, look at this. He's got them in alphabetical order. My goodness. Ross killed in action. Ryan died 7/28/42. Scott missing. Solaned. Saad S. died 7/23/42. Little died. Johnson Jones.